I'm going to give you a 50th chance.
Yes.
Just say one word.
Yeah.
One word, and I will be there for you. Aggressive.
Dear Shandy. Welcome back to another Dear Shandy Bachelorette recap, listeners. Hello, Andy.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm doing okay. Doing okay, north of the border.
Yes, you look refreshed here. Yeah.
I feel very Canadian.
You do. We are in Ottawa. I feel like you guys know by now that at least one recap a Bachelorette season, we're in Ottawa for our annual August visit.
Yeah, the Studio C.
Yes, Studio C. Wait, what's Studio B?
Studio B is our kitchen.
Studio A is our living room.
Correct.
Okay, because they're so far from each other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we are recapping episode 6 of The Bachelorette today, but first we have housekeeping.
We do.
Well, the first is that we're in Ottawa. Yay, Canada.
Yeah,
and
Canada doing well in the Olympics too.
Oh, I gotta say, okay, a quick moment to talk about the Olympics. I prefer watching the Olympics in Canada.
Well, yeah, there's more at stake. In America, it's just like how many medals are we going to win? In Canada, it's like, are we going to win a medal?
Yes.
Well, I mean, that's not fair. We're going to win a medal, but are we going to win a gold medal?
Yeah, it just feels more patriotic somehow here. I maybe, you guys let me know, especially people who have spent time in both countries, because I have found that since moving to the States, I confess I don't find the Olympics that like,
No.
but when then I come into Canada and it's like literally every TV in the house has some different sport on and I'm like into it.
Yeah, it's always fun to root for the underdog.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. It's not the angle you want me to take.
That was so American of you.
I mean, is Canada not the underdog?
I mean, sometimes.
It's not fair. They have 1/10 the population.
Yeah,
They're
yes.
automatically the underdog.
Yes. Okay. And then other than the Olympics, randomly, we just want to remind you to subscribe. And the reason why we're being so annoying about this is because people will say in the comments, every time we mention this, they're like, oh, I thought I was subscribed, but I wasn't.
Yeah. Or you didn't mention it up top, so I didn't hear you.
Yeah.
I didn't listen to the very end of the podcast.
Yeah. You said at the very end when I already clocked out.
Yeah.
So
we're saying it right now.
Subscribe. We'll wait.
Yeah. Oh, you did that? Okay. Oh, okay.
And the other thing is to leave us Apple podcast reviews.
Yeah, we would love those.
Yes.
And we do get, I have to say, we've gotten some extremely nice reviews. We read all of them.
Yes.
Even the bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the bad ones. Really appreciate that. Especially the ones that really have nothing to do with our podcast. Just someone very angry needed to get their stuff out and they got it out on us.
Yeah,
and there you go.
Uh-huh.
But aside from that, we read them, we love them, and we need more. So yeah, if you could, that would be amazeballs.
You would be amazed at what a difference it makes for the growth of a podcast.
Yeah.
Period.
It helps.
Yeah.
And we don't say it. So we're asking.
Yes. Okay.
In a very meek and sad way.
The most self-conscious asking ever. Yeah. Shall we get going? Recapping episode 6 of The Bachelorette, Andy?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so episode 6 picks up in Seattle. Woo! We love Seattle.
We love Seattle.
We spent a lot of time in Seattle.
Yeah.
We'll be in Seattle later this year.
We will.
Actually,
and
not
we
this year.
were there last year.
Yes, I'm singing again with Seattle Opera this season. I'm wrong. It'll be January, February. But 2025. Oh,
2025.
2025, when did that happen?
You know what 2025 is officially? It's later than all the sci-fi movies of the future that I watched when I was a little kid. Mm-hmm. Like when they're like, oh, in the year 2022.
Yeah.
In the year 2024. No one got as far as 2025, unless they went to like 3000.
Yes.
Then it was like ridiculous.
Yeah.
But 2025 is officially past the future of the 80s.
We're there. So Jenn sits down with former Bachelorette and friend of the pod, Charity. Yeah. Jenn, I love this question. How did you discern what you needed from certain people? I love these two women.
Yeah.
This was a great conversation. I'm going to be honest. Usually these conversations, I'm like...
No, two adult women.
Yes, who are, I would say, like highly intelligent and well-spoken,
and EQ as well. High
yes.
EQ.
Yes, the two of them combined. Charity reveals that she actually kept notes on each guy and what she needed to ask them in each interaction.
Ooh.
I was really impressed by this.
Yeah, sounds a little scary.
She sounds like an A student. Jenn says to dwindle from 7 down to 4 is honestly very hard for her. And I will admit, I didn't realize until this moment that this was our pre-hometown episode.
No, this is it.
So they're doing
I didn't
that
realize
now.
it either. It crept up fast.
Well, I think that seems to be a permanent thing because usually the pre-hometown episode is episode 7 And I guess, I don't know, maybe I'm just living in the past. Maybe it's been this way for a while, but it's episode 6 and they're already doing that. Okay, Charity asks who's holding back, and Jenn says Sam. He's holding back emotionally. Some foreshadowing there. And meanwhile, she says she feels 110% herself with Jeremy. More foreshadowing, but you took issue with 110%.
110.
Do you want to refresh any new Shandy, Sandy?
My rule about this is it's either 100% or it's 1,000% or more. But anything between 100% and 1,000%, I do not accept.
Because
it's ridiculous. Because you're not exaggerating enough. Because anything over 100% obviously doesn't exist mathematically.
Yeah.
But if you say 1,000% or more, then it's like, okay, I'm making a joke here.
You're making a point.
Yeah. The 110 is too serious. When people say 110, they're not laughing.
No, but it's true. You got a point. Why 110%? Why not 120%?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100% is enough.
Yes.
That's everything.
Yes.
You don't need more. I get you're making a point by saying 110, but if you say that, you have to make it a joke and you have to go over 1,000. Okay. Because when I hear the sports interviews, I can't take it anymore. Yeah. I just can't take it anymore.
Why was
I don't want to hear it.
Why didn't they say 101%?
Yeah, 100.00001%.
Okay.
Shut up. Enough with this. No more 110%. No more. Okay,
the guys check into their hotel and immediately we have a sort of ominous vibe around Sam. He talks about how this is in front of all the guys. Okay, so they're in one of those man chats. So we have to remember that he's been prompted to talk about his relationship with Jenn. So it's not like he's just saying this out of the blue, but he's talking about, it sort of sounds like he thinks he's getting a hometown. No, does it not?
It does.
He's like, I'm excited to bring her home to meet my parents. And meanwhile, in his ITM, Devin, my goodness, how the tables have turned between these two. Yeah. He says he's always known something with Sam wasn't quite right. I have to admit that's like the best diss ever.
You know what Devin's great at is the casual roast. Oh, he doesn't come at you so hard that you're like, oh, wow, I'm getting roasted. Yeah. He comes at you in a way where you're like, wait, did I just get roasted?
Yeah. So the date card arrives. It's a one-on-one date card. It goes to Marcus. He's gifted a blank lettering jacket. Is that what that's called? A lettering jacket?
Yeah, you put the letters on like the varsity or...
Can you tell I didn't go to a normal college?
Oh, I mean, you're not missing that much.
Music school kid right here. What was the relevance? I don't know did I miss how the lettering jacket came into play, or am I revealing that I haven't seen Wicked?
I don't know. I don't know anything about this.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in the dark as well.
Let us know. Did we
miss something?
I think maybe in Wicked, there's got to be something.
Or maybe it's just something. Just you get a lettering jacket. It's like you give a lettering jacket. It's like it's sort of a romantic gesture in high school.
Oh, yeah?
Kind of symbolic.
Well,
I kind of was half asleep during this part,
okay.
I'll be honest with you.
Okay. Well, so on the one-on-one date, this is the season's sponsored date, sponsored by Wicked. You know what's funny? I still don't even know. Is it Wicked the movie is coming out?
I assume it's Wicked the movie because the Wicked the musical has been out forever. They're not putting this kind of promo up right now.
Okay, so I wasn't sure if maybe it was some like sequel.
It's the movie.
Okay.
It's got to be the movie.
I have something to vent about already. Is it just me, or are there no new ideas anymore? I feel like everything nowadays is a remake.
That's it.
Remake this, remake that. My sister told me 2 days ago, Lord of the Rings was on, and she's like, I hear they're remaking this. I'm like, are you kidding me?
They remake everything. Everything's being remade. They're doing another Aliens, by the way. Aliens. That came out in like 1978 or something.
Oh, well, that's been around longer than Lord of the Rings.
That's true. It's sad. I mean, basically, if a movie is not a Marvel movie or a remake of an old movie, it's an indie movie now.
Yeah.
There's like no such thing as actual creative art in the film industry.
Okay, I got to say, Jesse's a real pro. When Jesse does one of these sponsored things, like that KFC floating in the pool thing from like last year, and he puts on his green velvet jacket, and he's just like, he has his professional smile. I mean, he was in it to win it. He got paid.
I can tell exactly how much Jesse's getting paid based on his performance.
Yeah, in this case, he was being paid extra.
Yeah, he's like, if you just pay me my rate, I'm phoning it in. But I'm phoning it in strong.
Oh, no, the thing about Jesse is that his phoning it in is above average.
He phones it in better than anyone I've ever seen.
Yes.
I saw him, I remember the one time, I was like, something's wrong. I could tell he had like the stomach flu or something.
Yeah.
And it was like slightly less than the phoned in I expect from him. And that was the one time I remember it.
Yes.
That's how good he is at phoning it in.
Yeah, I think that was in Paradise, right? Or something.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think it was in Paris. He came in. He was just like, I don't want to be here today.
He looked unwell.
He looked very, very white, like very pale and sickly. He had sunken eyes, and there was something off. But that was it. Phoning it in is one of the greatest skills there is.
Lest anyone think that we are dissing him, we are not. I wish I could phone it in as well as he phones it in.
Oh my God. Sometimes when I'm trying to phone it in, I think about Jesse. I'm like, why can't I phone it in like him?
He's like your Yoda.
It's like, phone it in. Was that Kermit or Yoda? I couldn't. It was more Yoda,
it's
right?
Their baby.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a huge green curtain on the street, and Jesse dramatically opens it up to a decorated street with a yellow brick road. Andy said, wow, wicked paid up.
Oh, yeah.
And Marcus says the curtain opens in front of Jenn and I.
Doesn't count.
Yes.
It's wrong, but it doesn't count for the word watch.
Jenn and I.
Yeah.
Plural, not possessive in this episode.
Just Jenn and I in the wrong way.
And all dressed up, greeting them are Kelsey and Daisy from the most recent season. Is it just me, or did it not really seem like Jenn was that close with them?
Jenn, I feel the same.
Am I reading into that?
Yeah, I felt the same thing. It's funny you bring that up, because we haven't discussed this previously.
we didn't talk about this last night. It's only occurring to me as I'm thinking back on it.
And it's funny, was when we were watching, I've tried a new policy is I don't like to say empty negative comments about the show. Yeah. So I rein them in. Your new policy. I've had this policy for like a couple of years now.
Oh, I don't think we're gratuitously negative about this show.
I don't ever want to look for negativity. No. I just want to observe when it's obviously negative. Okay. But in this case, I was like about to say to you, doesn't look like they're friends. But I was like, you know what? That's not nice. I'm just going to not say that.
Oh, okay. So should I not have said it?
Oh, no. But now, I guess I threw you under the bus there. But now my wife over here is willing to say it in front of a million people.
It's possible that there was absolutely nothing. It's just, I think the fact that we know Kelsey and Daisy are such good friends, that was a huge talking point at the end of Joey's season. Yeah. Is that one fell in love with herself, and their friendship was rock solid. They went off into the sunset together, holding hands like as platonic friends, girlfriends.
I think they're fine. I think there's people like in school that you weren't really friends with, but you were not friends, like you weren't enemies. Well, and then you see them like a few years later and you're like, oh, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is next to that friendship, Jenn didn't seem that close with them.
No, I agree.
And again, she's competing with a very close friendship. So, okay. So anyway, they are leading them down this yellow brick road. There are boxes that say spicy and sweet. They both pick spicy, which terrible was kind of a weak call.
Anyone, even people who like spicy food would pick sweet in this situation.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
Why do you want spicy out of the gate? You know that they're going to punk you. Yeah. There's so many ways they could screw you with spicy. There's almost no way they can screw you with sweet.
I agree.
Bad choice.
Okay, so they end up biking to meet Charity, who tells them to pop balloons, and then there are memories associated with each balloon. And here we get to know a bit about Marcus's sister, and who's the most important person for him in his life. And Jenn, meanwhile, gets a letter from her mother. They both tear up here. And the yellow brick road eventually leads to Trista Sutter, who sends them towards a hot air balloon. And I gotta say, so they go up in the hot air balloon, and as lovely as this date was meant to be, I'm gonna just say it, I think that hot air balloon rides hit different when they're strapped to the ground.
I couldn't agree more. The whole point is to be free, just to be floating in a hot air balloon.
Yeah, and I get that there are a lot of issues, like safety issues, and so I'm not saying that they should do anything unsafe. I just think that they should do something else, because to me, a hot air balloon strapped to the ground looks sad. It actually looks sad. It looks like a caged animal.
Yeah, it feels kind of like those leashes that some parents have on their kids. It's kind of like the kid's walking, but he's not really walking.
Yeah,
pretty much like a dog.
Back at the hotel, a date card arrives. It's a group date. Spencer, Jonathan, Sam, Devin, and Grant are going on this date, meaning Jeremy. This was shocking to us.
Shocking.
We
missed this one. This was our big curveball of the season.
Yeah. I was rooting for Spencer, a wild card. I'm biased. I can admit it.
Yeah, me too. But it's okay. I mean, Jeremy seems to be all right.
Yeah, I feel like we were like a little harsh on Jeremy last week with his smile.
Yeah.
Like when he was like this.
Yeah, we were a little too harsh. And you know what? I hate to do this.
What?
But I'm starting to question, and this is very subtle, super subtle.
What?
I'm starting to question whether this guy was born and raised in New York City.
Oh, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Oh, why?
I don't question that he lives in New York City.
Okay.
But I'm starting to wonder.
Oh, you don't feel born and raised?
I don't feel a full New York City. I feel like a slight, maybe within 100 miles feeling.
Has he ever claimed he was born and raised in Manhattan?
Oh, did he not?
I don't know.
I think he did.
Oh, did he?
Didn't he?
I don't
maybe
remember.
he didn't. Maybe I'm throwing him under the bus for nothing.
Needlessly. You're like, we were too harsh on him last week about the smile thing, but this week he's not a New Yorker.
Cozy, cozy earth is the planet that I want to live on. Cozy, cozy earth is the planet, is the planet, is the planet, is the planet for me.
Really barreled towards the end there, Andy.
Yeah.
I also want to live on an earth that's cozy, like Cozy Earth.
Yeah.
Cozy Earth is one of our all-time favorite sponsors, and we do not say this if we don't mean it. I mean, look, Andy's brought his Cozy Earths to Canada.
These cozy earths have seen, how many continents have these seen?
They've been around the world. They've been on every plane ride. They're your plane pants now. You almost didn't want to do that to them because you were like, no, my cozies are better than the plane. But then you're like, but they're so comfortable. So now they just get worn all the time.
You know what? These pants remind me of a Twilight Zone episode where it's like you can, no matter what you do to them, they always come back. Like they never die.
Yeah.
It's like these are the Jason Voorhees of pants.
Black is the day we got them. No tearing, no pilling. It doesn't make sense.
How is it possible?
And I'm going to be honest because it's not that you don't do laundry, but I'm the stickler for laundry. So I tend to wash your cozies and I do not baby them. I have to stress that. Sometimes pants still look good, but it's because you're like, oh, gentle cycle, cold water, don't put in the dryer. I don't do any of that with your cozies. I just throw them in the dryer.
I could throw these in a bonfire and they would come out looking like this.
So, of course, you've heard us talk about Cozy Earth's bed sheets. They're viscose from bamboo bed sheets. And it doesn't stop at the bed sheets, but, when we're on the road, we miss them. So I've been dreaming of our Cozy Earth sheets while I've been not sleeping on Cozy Earth sheets.
Sometimes I'm in the presence of a product that I feel is better than me, that I feel I don't deserve, that I feel in some ways is looking down on me. That's what I want in my sheets. I want a sheet that looks down on me. I want a sheet that I'm not good enough for.
And that is cooling. It's cooling.
Cooling. I don't sweat.
Temperature regulating. In the summer, this matters. It can get hot and clammy.
I don't sweat. It doesn't stain. It doesn't rip. It's cooling. It's warming. It feels amazing. It's silky smooth.
It's a cloud.
What more do you want? What do you want?
I know.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah. So upgrade your nights and transform your days with Cozy Earth.
Get up to 40% off at cozyearth.com/Shandy using code Shandy.
And don't forget to tell them we sent you in the post-purchase survey to get free socks. So Andy, we're holding our AG1 travel packs, and I think that we have a confession.
Yeah,
we did a bad thing.
I forgot my AG1.
Yes, when we went to our cabin in the woods, we were up there for 5 nights, and we forgot to pack our AG1. And let me tell you, I felt the difference.
You know who else felt the difference? Is Mr. Toilet. He was very lonely.
And it took us a few days to realize what was up because you were not in good sorts.
There was no AG2.
But then we came home, we got back on our AG1 schedule where we have it every morning.
Yeah.
Our comprehensive daily nutrition, that's what AG1 is. It has all the vitamins, minerals, nutrients, whole food sourced ingredients, pre and probiotics that you need. Did you know 70% of your immune system lives in your gut?
That's where it happens. It happens in your gut.
Yeah.
Everything.
So basically every morning you either empty a packet into a glass of water or you use a scoop because these are the travel packs, but we also have a big canister in the fridge and that's it. You drink that in the morning. You don't have to stand in the kitchen popping a bunch of different vitamins. It is such a time saver, and I just feel good doing it. Yeah. Not only does my body feel good, but I feel good about it.
I have an AG1 aura.
You actually do. You got back to AG1, and you were like, da-da-da-da.
All right. They all get it. They all get it. So it's easy and oh so satisfying to start your journey with AG1.
Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2 plus 5 free travel packs with your first purchase when you go to drinkag1.com/dearshandy.
That's drinkag1.com/dearshandy.
Yeah, no, Jeremy had a good showing this episode, obviously. I'm still trying to figure him out. I do think Jeremy's not built for TV, and that's always a good thing in my books.
Yeah.
Anyway, he gets this one-on-one date, which pretty much seals Spencer's fate. I mean, we all knew Spencer wasn't going past this episode, but it was very obvious. Okay, so now in the evening of Marcus's date, they have dinner in a baseball stadium. She tells him she wants... Oh, is that why he got the lettering jacket? Baseball? Is that a baseball thing?
Well, it's any sport.
Any sport?
Football, baseball, whatever.
She tells him she wants to be that safe space for him. He says he knows it's difficult for him to open up. And Marcus says he doesn't come from a perfect family, far from it. He says he and his sister were born into a lot of instability. It was really rough. And proceeds to tell a story that is... I mean, one of the saddest, I feel weird saying one of the saddest stories we've heard on this show, but a lot of people have some sort of story to share, and this one really hit me.
I mean, I don't remember one more brutal than this.
Yeah, he says that their parents didn't really take care of them. They weren't fit to be parents. He says that one day his parents brought them to daycare and just never came back.
Oof.
I mean,
I
don't even have words. That's one of the saddest stories.
I can't even imagine.
He says that started a very rough chapter of his childhood, and he and his sister were in several foster homes, and he kept thinking one of them would become, a mom and dad, like that perfect home life. But then something would always happen, like the foster parents would change their mind, and then they would wind back right where they started. And then it led him to feel like something was wrong with him.
Oh, boy.
Really, really sad. Jenn says she understands now why he's holding back. He says there's a huge canyon between liking someone and loving someone, and he wants to fall into that canyon. He wants a love that will stay when anyone else would leave. Oof. She says him sharing this shows his strength. She's so happy he's there. She can't imagine this journey without him. She gives him the rose. It's a really beautiful moment, and there's fireworks in the background. But oh my goodness, this one hit.
Rough.
This one really hit.
I mean imagine the trauma. The scars you have from that.
Yeah, like you don't even really have to look that deep to see how that would give someone abandonment issues.
I'm going to tell you something right now, and this is not a nice thing to say, but it's a real thing to say. I think that as much as that affected Jenn in a way where she felt empathy for him, I actually think that in the end, this may be the deciding factor as to her picking Devin, because...
Oh, are you giving away your final two?
Well, yeah. Maybe. We're only halfway through the recap.
Yeah.
But I think that this is one of those things. And there was a similar thing in
Joey's season.
That I felt this way about. But I feel like that's the kind of thing where, you feel really sorry for the person, but you also instinctively think about yourself like, wait, there have to be such deep-rooted issues there of abandonment, rejection, everything. And those are going to surface.
Am I ready to take that
Am I ready to, to be in that for the rest of my life?
But the difference between Joey and Jenn is Joey came from a more idyllic family upbringing. I mean, I know he had his issues around feeling like he could really be himself and voice his needs and things like that. But Jenn really actually relates. I think she empathizes with him. She relates in that she also wondered if something was wrong with her.
She empathizes to a degree, but there's a big difference between a father just not being there and both parents leaving you at someone's doorstep.
Yeah,
I mean, that's completely different.
Yeah, I mean, that's next level.
Yeah. So anyway, that's just my thought. It's not a pretty thought, but that's the thought I had.
Here's the thing. I feel like if Jenn brings Marcus to, let's say, final 3, I think that it's because she's picking him, because I don't think Jenn would let him fall to final 2 level to just leave him at the altar.
I mean, that's some, I mean, I'm not going to go that far.
That's what?
No, I respect that opinion. Yeah. And I think you might be right, but I'm not going to go that far yet.
Okay. All right. Okay. So now it's the next day. We are in a podcast studio. A radio? Was it a radio station?
No, a radio. I think this is an actual radio station. Respectable radio station.
Not a living room.
Not some fly-by-night podcast.
It's Love on Air Seattle, and the hosts are joined by Jason and Molly Mesnick. Yay.
Legends of the franchise.
Yes, we have been trying to get them on for a Love Fest for a very long time. Jason and Molly Mesnick.
They're definitely listening.
Yeah, they apparently think they're too good for Dear Shandy.
Too good for Dear Shandy, huh? Mm-hmm. Well, show us. Come on and show us how good you are for Dear Shandy.
There's a lot of focus on Sam in Jenn's conversation with the hosts, but when she's asked whose hug she falls into and feels safe in, she says Sam. Devin suggests that today will be a challenge for Sam because he struggles to say things he really feels.
True.
Yeah. That's very astute.
Yeah.
And Sam...
You know what Sam is? Sam is terrible at phoning it in.
I actually don't know if I agree. I think he phones in 99.9%.
Yeah, but Jesse's been phoning it in for like 5 years. He can't phone it in for more than a couple weeks without it being exposed.
You know what Sam... Oh, that's so interesting. I think Sam doesn't know how not to phone it in.
Yeah, but if you know how not to phone it in, you have to be decent at phoning it in. I don't think he's decent. I think he's just passable.
I think phoning it in is Sam's default. He doesn't know how to be real.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying is he only phones it in, but he's not that good at phoning it in.
No, he's certainly not good at it.
That's not good. If you're the one thing you do is something you're not that good at.
Yeah. There came a point in this episode, though, where I felt like not bad for him, but just like I felt pity. Like to live in that place where you can't articulate, you're so insecure that you can't feel a feeling and much less articulate a feeling.
Yeah.
Was like it. I felt like, speaking of caged animals, what's so funny is he thinks he's projecting toughness, but all he's showing is just how insecure he is, and he has it all wrong.
Yeah. Look, I don't like Sam.
No,
I don't think Sam's
he's very
great.
easy to not like.
I don't think Sam is not good here, and I don't think he's that good outside of this franchise. But not unlike a movie where there's a villain who you really want to get, his comeuppance.
Yeah.
And when the comeuppance comes, it's too heavy. They go too far.
Yeah.
Like he's being tortured.
Yeah.
It's just too far. And you're suddenly like, I kind of feel a little bad for this guy. I really hate him.
Did it
but
not
I feel
reach
bad
that point for you?
No, it got to the point where in this studio where I was like, oh man, this is like, I got to feel some human empathy for this guy.
Yeah.
Like he's being roasted. This is not his place.
No.
He's to blame, but he's been bullshitting this whole way.
Yes.
And he's probably, I don't know. He's not a guy I would be friends with, I guess. But he is becoming almost sympathetic. Yeah. For a moment here.
It is that, I hate to say it, it's that pathetic.
Yeah.
It's that pathetic
so sad.
Where it's like kicking them when they're down. You're just like, oh.
Well, they know that they know what's going to happen here. No one thinks that Sam's going to suddenly like start reciting Shakespeare. This is a disaster that's been set up.
Yeah.
This is a setup.
Yeah.
And I like it. But it went almost too far.
The sick part of you liked it, Andy.
Yeah, they went too far.
Sam in his voiceover, we hear him say he's going to keep the main thing. Right. It's a shame the main thing wasn't the word watch this week. Yeah. But even this, I felt like it's possible this was Frankenbitten in. There came a point, I feel like, where he started being made fun of.
Yeah.
By production, by everyone.
Yeah.
And you can even see later in the same episode, the guys. Because I would say even 2 episodes ago, you wouldn't see Jonathan talking shit, I guess. Like Jonathan doesn't even talk shit. He just speaks truth, in my opinion. But he was speaking truth about Sam.
Yeah, there was a seismic shift sometime in the last
100%. Week. So Spencer, they have to do this rapid fire thing where they're given a word and then they have to say the first word they think of. And so when Spencer is asked Rose, he says me. I thought that was cute.
Yeah, that was cute.
And when Grant is asked shower, he says every day.
I was kind of hoping you would say golden, but that might be too far.
Missed opportunity. And then we come to Sam, and the word he's given are fantasy suite. And this is so painful. Okay, first of all, the word aggressive. In what world was this a good call? Like, in what world? Like, it's honestly concerning.
In prison.
What?
In prison, this would be a good call.
It was like so bad that like I'm laughing. I can't believe how bad it was. And here's the worst part is that this was supposed to be rapid fire and he took longer than he should have. And this is still the word he came up with. Like, what is wrong with this picture? Like, could you not think for a second that this is not that kind of show, or this is not that kind of situation. Like, I get that might be what a hot fantasy suite looks like to you, but it reminded me of our recap with Wells 2 weeks ago when he talked about how Sam doesn't pull out the chair. You know, it's like the lack of awareness of the type of show he's on, like the setting he's in, that this, you know, you're playing a romantic lead, you know, even if that's not who you are in real life. Here, it's the same thing. It's like, in what world did you think that was the appropriate thing to say in this setting?
Yeah. Who was he trying to impress?
Yeah.
Who did he think was going to applaud that answer?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the one time I feel like Sam has been totally honest. And it's the one time where he should not have been honest.
Well, and what's concerning is that is him being honest.
That's him being honest. Yeah. Of course he'd be aggressive. That's what he would do.
Yeah. And look, I think that there's a time and a place for aggressive, you know, bedroom activity.
If it's welcome.
Yeah. I think that if it's consensual, and like, I totally get that. Like, we're not criticizing the concept of aggressive, of unaggressive
can
fantasy
be applied very well in many different situations.
Totally, yes.
But you don't say that.
No.
Even if the person wants that.
No.
Even if she has said to him, I want aggressive in the fantasy suite, don't let me down. You don't say that on a radio show in this situation.
No, it was painful. Grant is asked to give 3 adjectives for Jen, and he says witty, charming, intellectual. Devin says exhilarating, breathtaking, spontaneous. Jonathan says driven, exciting, and most importantly to him, open-minded.
You know what I was thinking at this point? I was thinking to myself, I was like, wow, they're really using up a lot of the adjectives that I could have thought of.
Yeah.
And it gets harder as you go on. And I was thinking, if Sam's last, this is going to be a rough scene.
Well, I don't think that Sam knows what an adjective is.
No.
I'm sorry, I don't.
No.
And look, it takes a lot for me to diss someone like this, but I really don't think I'm even dissing. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
I genuinely think he didn't know what an adjective is, because this is what he says, and I think I deserve a medal for writing this down. He wrote, just fire, just strong passion. So yeah, to say I've been doing nothing but falling in love with this woman from the first time we had a conversation, that would be a lie.
What?
I didn't know if you would be able to show love the way I know how to. And it literally took you giving a toast to all of us saying cheers to a ferocious love. For that to be so unorthodox. And I describe my love as reckless.
Okay, well, he had the word reckless in there. That's an adjective, I think.
Yeah, and unorthodox.
Unorthodox, yeah, that's another adjective. He had that in there.
Sense in the sentence.
So unorthodox, reckless. Yeah. What else does he describe her as?
As strong passion.
Strong. So strong, unorthodox, and reckless. He got it. He nailed it.
Just fire. It's like he speaks in emojis. Devin in his ITM says he talks for the life of him, but nothing ever comes out.
Oh, he's like the proverbial kid who didn't read the book, who has to get up in front of the class and do the book report.
Yeah, but he's not.
With everything.
Yeah, but he's not, like, he can't wing it.
No. And he's bad at that.
Yeah.
He didn't read the book, and he's not good at winging it.
Well, and here's the thing. I feel like he's got these lines worked up, like these lines worked out. Like, he keeps bringing up the ferocious love. I've been falling in love with this woman since blah, blah, blah. It's like when he has to go off script, and it's like, okay, well, now we need an adjective. He's like, ferocious love, been falling in love. Like, he cannot adapt.
Yeah, it was like that time I told you when I auditioned for that rock band.
Oh,
and I memorized their songs. Yeah, I mean, a very abbreviated
version. You've never told this story.
I've never told this story.
I love this story.
But anyway, there was a band that I heard the music of. It was amazing. The band was called Cloud Room, and their songs were amazing. I was like, wow, why aren't these people famous? And
they were kind of famous, though.
No, they had some in soundtracks. They were like, some movies had their songs.
Okay.
Like they had a couple songs in movies, but not huge movies, like good sized movies, but not huge. But
okay.
they were making some money, but they were not famous by any stretch.
Okay.
And then randomly at this one of my favorite bars, I ran into the lead singer. And I was like, oh my God, I love your music and everything. And I started telling him that I play guitar and like I really love the guitar. You know, he's like, actually, we're auditioning for a guitar. Our guitar guy left. We needed a guitar guy. I was like, really?
Guitar guy or a guitarist?
A guitar guy. They wanted to know, just a guitar guy. And I said, I'm a guitar guy. So I went to go audition. So I was working in an office and I left for lunch with my guitar. I had my guitar at work and I went to Greenpoint, Brooklyn to audition for these guys. And I had memorized their songs. I mean, I spent 2 weeks, like I had their songs down. Pat.
Oh.
Perfect.
Oh.
Pro.
Yes.
And so I get in there. They're all set up. The band's set up. Drummer's there. Everybody's there.
So
ready.
you auditioned with them?
Yeah, the band was there, set up.
Okay, sorry. In my world, auditions, like everyone's on the other side of a table.
No, they were set up.
Okay, I was just wondering.
The guy had his drum kit. The lead singer was there. The bassist. They were all ready to go.
Okay,
they were set. They had probably auditioned like 3 or 4 people that day.
Okay,
I was one of them. So I get up there and I absolutely slay this audition. I mean, they were like, I know, and I'm not, and you know me, I have shame.
No. Like, Andy wouldn't say this if it weren't true.
I crushed it.
Okay.
The nerves melted away. I just crushed it. I was so excited. They're so good. I mean, playing with a real band, like a pro band, they're so tight. And they were telling me, they're like, oh yeah, I like that style. That's great. That sounds great. And so I finished these 4 songs that I had prepared immaculately. And then they were like, okay, let's play something else. Like, let's play a song, like any song, pick a song. I was like, oh no, but I can't improvise.
Oh.
I don't know how to improvise. And I knew this might be a problem. So then I said, oh, I got to get back. I went on a lunch break from my job. I got to get back. They're like, oh, let's play one song before you go. Let's just play anything. Just pick a song. I was like, so I packed up my guitar. I was like, I really got to go. I'm sorry. And I just ran out. They never called me.
They never called you because they thought something was fishy.
Well, something was fishy.
Yeah.
They were 100% right. It was as fishy as it gets.
You were studied and rehearsed, which is, there's still a lot of skill in that. But like Sam, you couldn't authentically.
No, I was a fraud.
You weren't playing from the soul.
Yeah, I could only do what I memorized, nothing else.
Yes, and that's good. I mean, is that an analogy? If it's like
it's an allegory. You know what that is? It's an old man tale. If I was truly doing it as an old man, I would have done it much slower and longer. I would have taken up the whole podcast. But I had mercy on our Shandies.
Oh, I love that story, though. I think it says a lot about you. And I also wish that you had just tried playing another song and just seen what happened.
No, it would have been a mess.
No, but see, you don't know that. You don't know that. And why not let it be?
It would have been mediocre at best.
Yeah, but who cares? Who cares? You never got called anyway.
I care.
All I'm saying is that you didn't get the call anyway. You might as well have tried.
The shame would have been too fierce.
Shame, the worst. Yeah. Okay, so the moral of the story is Sam cannot improvise. It's not even improvise. He can't speak from the heart. This is not even about improvising. If he were just honest about how he felt, if he honestly really loved her, then I feel like he would have things to say about her.
Sam is incapable of being vulnerable.
Yes.
And to speak from the heart involves vulnerability.
Yes.
And he just doesn't do it. It's not cool.
Yeah.
It's not what he does.
Also, it requires some introspection.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting a lot of that from him. Okay, so the hosts now choose the person they feel needs more time with Jenn. And so Sam is awarded more time with Jenn in this room alone recording this podcast.
And now we all get our bibs on. All right.
Well, and what's funny is you see a smile flash across his face like he thinks he won.
Oh, yeah. He's so oblivious.
He kind of is. And the other guys watch. Oh, this is so painful. And she asks, what was your first impression of me and how did that change over time? And as usual, he doesn't answer the question. He's rambling on about his experience and even says that she wasn't his type. He thought the Bachelorette was going to be Daisy or Maria.
So did we. What an idiot.
Oh my God. He kind of is. Like, I never want to be like, this guy's stupid. But
No.
how is this not a stupid thing to say?
I'm not saying he is a stupid person. I'm going to reserve judgment about him as a human. But within the framework of this show, he is a moron.
Yeah. And I feel like he was saying this to make some larger point about how, but he later on, he's like, you can't choose who you fall in love with. I feel like he's saying, oh, like, I thought it was going to be these girls, but it's you. Like, I love you. But if you can't back that up with specific things, then all this is an insult.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it just turned out to be you, and now I'm in love with you.
You know what? I'll give this show credit. There was an arc here. There's a villain arc. And they saw this coming and they served this dish cold as ice. The whole thing with the guy standing behind the soundproof, the glass, and the schadenfreude of this scene.
Yes.
The juiciness. It was like a well-cooked steak.
Oh, I thought you said it was cold as ice.
Well, it was a steak tartare. But I respect the production here because this was not easy. They didn't know. I'm telling you, they saw this coming and they planned this. They said, this is going to, Sam is going to fall for this trap. We know exactly how this is going to go down. Yeah. I give them a lot of credit. This was a perfect villain arc, a perfect movie-style ending to his reign.
Yeah, and the execution of this, I think the entire date was planned with him in mind.
They knew
and
it was
his
gonna happen.
weaknesses in mind.
They knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
They knew that Sam would Sam, and Sam to the Sammiest he's ever Sammed.
And he says, obviously, you're stunning. No doubt about that. But I trust the process. I feel like I'm meant to be here. I'm meant to be a father. And she says, okay, but what is it about me? Yeah. Me as a human? And he says, her selflessness. Because, quote, I know I'm a selfless person too. He can't say anything about her without making it about him. And she says, how do you know I'm selfless? And he says, you're either selfless or you're full of shit. He tries to give an example and talks about their first makeout and how hot it was. Ugh.
Oh, Sam. Sam.
She asks if he feels like he really knows her. And he says his love language is physical touch. And so he goes in for a makeout here.
Now, honestly, at this point, someone should have called the cops.
It was so uncomfortable. It didn't feel...
It felt illegal.
It felt like he was like
she could have pressed charges at that point.
Yeah, and I think she.
And you know me, I like a good no permission ass kiss, and people have come at me for that.
Yeah.
But this is the exact wrong time to give a no permission kiss.
I felt icky watching this scene, like how she looked visibly uncomfortable, and she kind of will smile or giggle to get out of these situations, or like when she's uncomfortable, she's a tendency to giggle it off, and she did that here. But because he's so two-dimensional, he didn't see how obviously uncomfortable she was, writhing out of his grip.
If this was like a 50s movie, she would have just slapped him.
Yes. He deserved a slap. This was a slap moment.
This was at least a slap.
He's the kind of guy that should be asking to kiss a woman.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. He needs to rein it in. Well, again, still using the same tool in his toolbox. I gotta say, it's not like this was so advanced thinking when I said that I felt like this was going to peter out. It's the sparkler. He's still using the same tool, his same hammer. He's like, thrusting towards her. It's like, what else is there? Nothing.
There's nothing else. Oh. He's just riding on the fact that she's physically attracted to him. There's nothing. He has not given anything, even from the first day. And I feel, I actually feel almost ashamed that I backed him after that first day. I was like, oh yeah, of course, Sam, really, charming, handsome guy.
I mean, and he got the first impression rose. But historically, Bachelorettes, their first impression rose is really someone to watch.
But let's go back to that first episode. What did he say?
Nothing.
Nothing on that first. He just sat there and looked handsome and smiled at the right moments.
And then kissed her aggressively.
He said nothing. He said he wanted to have a family. He said, I'm with that. I like the fact that you want a family too. He didn't say anything.
No.
I take that. I was wrong.
And
Sam sucked from the beginning.
What this says about him also is I feel like this has worked for him a lot. And I think it says something about the level of depth in his relationships, that he's able to date anyone long enough to become engaged to them.
100%. And I'm going out on the record right now and saying whatever he's saying to shit on his ex, I bet that story is far more complicated.
I'm always cautious about throwing out the N word, narcissist.
Oh, I was worried for a second.
No, the narcissism word, she's exhibiting narcissistic tendencies. And we all know narcissists tend to accuse other people of the very things they could and should be accused of.
Yeah.
So when he's talking about how his heart was broken, he was a gut punch, blah, blah, blah. She cheated on him. She blah, blah, blah. I kind of feel like if I were betting money, I would bet that it was him who did all of these things.
Of course. Or at least the story is far more complicated.
Yes, totally. Okay, so that brings us to the evening now. Grant has one-on-one time. He says he's nervous, and she says why, and he says he respects her a lot, how she carries herself. He's already chosen her. He sees a future in her, and he says he's falling in love with her. Grant.
Oh, Grant.
We'll
Sweet
get to
kid.
that.
He's a good kid, that Grant.
He is a good kid. Okay, Jonathan, in his one-on-one time, I said this is kind of montage material, honestly. The gist is that these guys are all able to emote and express their feelings for Jenn in a way that Sam is not. Spencer's same, he's being effusive with her, but it's montage material. Now we come to Devin, who's not montage material. He says he feels so strongly about her. He's only ever wanted to bring a girl home who makes him proud and who makes his mother proud. And she is both of those things. And she says she feels so seen by him. He gets her. And she says that you have said you're falling in love with me. And she says, well, I'm falling in love. Well, she says, I'm falling for you as well. Sorry, not falling in love. There's no L word, but falling for. What's the difference?
Falling in or falling for?
Yeah, that's the difference.
Falling for, I feel, is like on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like a 7. Falling in is an 8.
Falling in love with someone is an 8.
Shade. I think falling in is a little more than falling for.
Yeah.
Falling for is more casual. It's like, I think I'm falling for you.
Hey, like seriously though, did we have any of these tiers before the Bachelor franchise came around?
No, now we know though. The Bachelor has taught us what these all mean.
They taught us. It was us who were ignorant. Yeah. Sam now. Sam. Oh, there was a funny moment actually, because in her toast, she kind of alludes to one conversation that day having been giving her concern.
Yeah, I like the way Sam's like, I don't know who that is. Could be anybody. Could be Jesse.
He really does say it could be anybody.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sam now in his time, she says she needs to be honest. Today she felt like he didn't see or understand her. There is something missing. She doesn't want it to come off like she's badgering him, but she needs clarity. Which, by the way, even that tone, I feel like when it feels like you're badgering someone, they make you feel like you're badgering them. That's already a bad sign. Because it should feel so comfortable with them that they're like, please, how did we like misalign today? I want to know. Instead, she's like, sorry to be badgering you. He says...
You know what the funny thing about Jenn is, and this is no disrespect, but Jenn has a weakness, and that weakness is Sam. And the weakness in relationships I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Sam is the embodiment of her weakness in relationships.
Which makes this episode so satisfying.
Of course. But also what's interesting is Jenn has not fully recovered from that weakness. It's not like she suddenly like doesn't have that weakness. He has been given every opportunity to exploit that weakness.
Yes.
She's begging for him to say anything to let her show that weakness again. And no fault to her. Everyone has weaknesses, right?
Yeah.
And still, he can't.
It's really a testament to just how bad he is.
He's so bad. Yeah. She keeps coming back. She's like, I'm going to give you a 50th chance.
Yes.
Just say one word.
Yeah.
One word, and I will be there for you. Aggressive. Okay.
It reminded me of like in Survivor when someone has to do something really hard to get a little advantage, or even it could be a significant advantage in a challenge. And then it just, they blow it.
Yeah.
Like he came into this with an advantage.
Huge advantage.
Yes. And he blew it.
He was her kryptonite.
Yeah. Blew it. In a very satisfying way though. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of fun to watch him
I got to say, you know what? As much as we hate on Sam keeps giving us a lot. Sam has given me more than a lot of people in the last couple months, even my family. So in a way, I love Sam.
Okay, so in response to this, he says, so the word that I gave you today is selfless.
The word of today, children, selfless.
He says he doesn't know it's her, but he does know he was meant to be there. And she says, okay, but how do I fit into that? And he says, it's just something that I feel. And she says, but why me? And he puts his face in his hands. And finally, exasperatedly, he says, because I love you.
Oh, yeah. You know what's happened? He has gone through, he's studied the encyclopedia of phoned in romantic responses, and he's run out.
Yeah.
There's no more. He's done every single one.
Yeah. Well, because he needs to go to level 2 now.
Yeah, there's nothing.
He doesn't have the curriculum for level 2.
Yeah, and you notice later on in the room, the final scene where she sends him home, he literally has a prepared quote speech.
Yes, we'll get there.
Ready. And that's it. That was his like he studied, he spent all day. He's like, okay, I got this. I got this. I know what she wants to hear. And that was it. He was out of ammunition after that.
That sounds like a terrible way to live.
Terrible.
It's so inauthentic that he doesn't know how to be authentic.
He's chosen to live a life where he doesn't speak from his heart unless it's with like sort of anger or toughness.
Yeah. Oh,
it sounds very unpleasant.
It sounds
awful.
He
speaks with his fists.
Yes.
And I believe it. I believe this guy has used his fists to speak, and I'm sure he uses them well. I don't doubt it.
They're very
I wouldn't want to see those smooth fists.
As you named that episode, Andy, smooth fists, rough personality.
Thank you.
Okay, so basically this scene wraps with Jenn being like, what the hell? How does he love me? Like, she doesn't believe it, thankfully. And she wraps this conversation basically by saying she'll get back to him. She does not give out this group date rose, which I support, but that's also typical of a pre-hometown group date. And now the next day.
Earth breeze, making laundry green.
Oh, Andy, very nice. Showing off your high range with a jingle for Earth breeze. It is making laundry green because you know it isn't green, requiring enormous jugs.
Plastic jugs.
They're huge. Yeah. What jug is bigger than a laundry jug of detergent.
The biggest jugs. If you want a really big set of jugs.
Huge jugs that are filled with, by the way, mostly water. So not only are you using up this plastic, which almost never ends up actually getting recycled, even if you think you're recycling.
Goes right to landfill and the ocean.
Yeah.
And where does it go after that? It goes into your body.
Yes.
And into the body of the foods you eat.
Yes. Plastic.
Microplastics.
Too much plastic. It's everywhere. And you really didn't need that in the first place because Earth Breeze, meanwhile, their eco sheets, notice how there's no water. Yeah. This doesn't need water because you add the water in the machine.
Let me ask you a question. How much fuel does it take to transport that pack of Earth Breeze across the country?
Right. This, by the way, 60 loads of detergent. Look how tiny. Look how slim. For our listeners who cannot see, it's basically a large index card size piece of paper. But this is the detergent. And amazingly, you can rip it. Look, So if you're doing maybe a half load, you don't want to use a whole sheet, you can just adjust the amount of detergent you use.
And cherry on top, safe for sensitive skin.
Yes.
I do not get rashes with this.
Yes.
And I get rashes with lots of things.
You do.
Water gives me rashes.
Yes, often, yes. It's free of bleach, dyes, and parabens, and they also have a fragrance-free option.
And you know what? I'm going to say one thing about Earth Breeze. There are a few things since we started this podcast that have changed our life. Ruby, one of them, appropriately on my lap.
Yes.
Earth Breeze is one of those things.
Totally. Agreed.
Life-changing.
Life-changing. It makes you wonder why you stuck to these huge jugs for so many years. It's just habit. That's the only reason why.
It makes me wonder why those big jugs are still legal.
Yes.
They should be barely legal. Those jugs, those giant jugs are barely legal.
Okay. Well, they should be illegal. I actually do feel that way. Okay.
So right now, our Shandies can save up to 40% off Earth Breeze just by going to earthbreeze.com/Shandy.
That's earthbreeze.com/Shandy to cut single-use plastic out of your laundry room and get 40% off your subscription. And now the next day, Sam is out for a sort of B-roll stroll, giving the other men an opportunity to talk about him. And I just think it's so interesting that all the guys now that Thomas is gone,
he
doesn't have Robin by his side anymore.
Because you know what? He's even lost the guys was he can't phone it in. Phoning it in with guys is much easier than phoning it in with a woman you're supposed to love.
Yeah.
So even with the guys, the phoning in has run its course.
Yeah.
He has nothing left.
There's a time limit on that.
Done.
Especially they're spending so much time together. Like you start to see through that pretty quickly. And it would be pretty tiresome to live day in, day out with someone like this. It's like, okay, it's like, who are you? You don't feel like you know the person.
You know what this show, I hope, was therapy for him. I hope this show shone a light on him. I hope he's self-aware enough to realize that this show exposed a flaw. And this happens a lot. You know, unfortunately, the show sometimes exposes weaknesses of people who are good people who then sort of crumble because they're in the spotlight and the show has made them very insecure.
Yeah.
That's a whole different side.
Totally.
But on the positive side, I think sometimes people go on the show who have a very obvious flaw and it really, there's no escaping from it.
Yeah.
I just have a ray of hope. I feel like there's something there.
Yeah.
I feel like Sam has the potential to realize what's happened here and change it. And if not, then he's just broken. Then he's never going to change. And, you know, that's unfortunate.
It is. Okay, so now Jeremy has a one-on-one. They walk around Pike Place Market. He makes her a bouquet. They have their palms read, and the psychic knows that he was both a drummer and into martial arts. Apparently he has a black belt.
He's got a drummer martial art hand.
Yeah, that's a good hand.
I can spot it from a mile away.
They seem to actually eat a meal on this date, and he says she makes it easy for him to be himself. They are cute together. I have to admit. Yeah. I'm really coming around with Jeremy.
No, me too.
I just needed to see more of him. He's very likable.
You know what it is with Jeremy? When he is put on the spot, he's not good. He's not relaxed. But when he knew he had the whole day with her, he loosened up. And he's a nice guy. I like him. I like Jeremy.
Okay, so now in the evening, she tells him that he brings out the most her out of anybody there.
Dark horse.
That's major.
Yeah.
That is major. I mean, if I see some of myself in Jenn, and to me is like, that's very high priority. That I can't think of something more important than that.
No, that's it.
This is heavily edited in that she goes from having lipstick on to no lipstick on. Did you see this?
You think Jeremy was like, take that lipstick off?
Yeah, clearly she went off to have some, ITM time. They refreshed her lipstick and came back. But it was just sort of funny how like there's a shot of her, no lipstick, and then him. And then suddenly she's lipstick on.
I actually like the no lipstick look.
Oh, I think Jenn, honestly, she looks gorgeous always. But when she doesn't have much makeup on, she's just like
it's like at a restaurant that has amazing ingredients and they just let the ingredients sing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that way about Jenn. The less is more.
Yeah, but she always looks gorgeous, of course. He opens up about his Jewish culture now. We were very excited about this. It's like,
yeah, we got a Jew in the house, a real live Jew.
We don't get this very often.
Yeah,
on this
this
show.
is big. I've never seen this before.
Yeah,
Should we strike up the band? Hava Nagila, na 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 na.
Good, Andy.
Yeah, I'm Jewish. I can do this. It's that's one Shandy who didn't know I was Jewish. Nice try.
I think everyone knows you're Jewish.
Oh, they do? Oh,
Don't
is it obvious?
I think it's
What
pretty.
are you saying?
Okay, so he talks about having a Jewish identity, how that's really important to him. And he wonders if she's open to that. And she says that she has a lot of Jewish friends in Miami. And
I love that. Don't worry. I have a lot of Jewish friends.
Something about that being in Miami, too. Is
And
extra
Miami,
funny.
yeah.
I don't know why.
Those Miami Jews.
She says they do a little Shabbat.
You know what?
I thought this was adorable.
This is great.
Yes. She says that she's Buddhist. She does want to impart some of those teachings to her children, especially to involve her mother. And this is so touching. They agree that it's about the culture and family aspect, and they want to blend it to, quote, Jewish Buddhist.
Jewish Buddhist. I love it. You know what? I think that's a great combination.
Oh, I think that's fantastic.
You ever hear the joke? A Jew and a Buddhist walk into a bar?
Yeah. What's the punchline?
Just nice conversation I had.
We're kind of semi-close to being Jewish Buddhist.
Yeah.
Except I'm not really.
No, we actually are.
Yeah.
Because your mom is Buddhist.
Yeah,
so
my
you're
mom
basically Buddhist.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really raised that way. I was
Buddhist.
technically baptized.
Buddhist?
No.
Buddhist people don't get baptized. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Technically, the white side of my family baptized.
So you were
me.
baptized, but you're Buddhist.
I don't know if I wasn't really taught about Buddhism, but everything that I've learned, I'm like, I'm into that.
I mean, knowing you now, you're more Buddhist than Christian.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I think that everything I've learned about Buddhism, I'm like that. In terms of religion, I resonate with that.
I stand by. I've always said that Buddhism is the money. That's it. That's where it's at.
Yeah.
And I'm Jewish, so Jewish and Buddhist is,
Let's make this happen.
Down.
Yeah. Inspired by Jeremy and Jenn.
Yeah. I ship this. I ship the Judist?
Jewish Buddhist.
Buish. Which one is it?
She gives Jeremy the rose. Andy, you said this is the surprise of the season. And then they make out. There's a lot of making out. And I got to say, it's decent.
Oh, yeah. I liked it.
Where did this come from?
I don't know. You know what? This is one of those curveballs, and we have to accept fault here. We didn't see this coming.
No, I admit it. I can admit we were wrong.
And I feel bad.
Being wrong.
I feel I let down my Jewish people. Like I should have been backing this guy, but I didn't think he had a shot, and I didn't love him.
No,
but I like him now.
He's a delight. Like he's a
delight.
little odd, but I love odd. He's great.
Yeah, I like him.
I'm just now wishing that we'd seen more of him in this way earlier in the season. Like I feel like he didn't really get a shot, and now suddenly we're at hometowns, and yeah, he's getting a hometown, but he just had his first date. Like I just don't really. Like, I feel like he didn't really get a fair shake, is all I'm saying.
I agree. We didn't give him a fair shake.
No, we will admit it. We can admit when we were wrong.
Yes, we can. Okay,
so now it's the next day, and Jenn says, the biggest thing I have to deal with tonight is Sam. That's very telling.
I'm sure that's not the first time someone has said the biggest thing I have to deal with tonight is Sam.
About him.
Yeah.
She goes from room to room, hunting him down in her gown. And finally, she finds him, asks how he's feeling, and he says, I think the realest thing we've seen him
Other than
say,
aggressive,
that we've seen him say, you see his face. I'm going to insert it because I thought we saw the real Sam in this moment.
This is it.
His face flickers and he says, terrified.
How are you feeling?
Terrified?
And that's the truth.
That's the real Sam.
Terrified.
He is a scared boy.
And you know why he's terrified? He's terrified because he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar.
Yeah.
Emotionally.
And it's sad. He would never have to do this backpedaling, this damage control if he just spoke the truth from the get-go. He doesn't know what the truth is. She asks how he's feeling after their last conversation, and he replies, I've been trying to... This is the part, Andy, you thought he had reversed. Yeah.
Hold on, ready? Hold on a second. Ready, Sam? Are you ready? Okay. Extras in motion and action.
I've been trying to walk this fine line of being vulnerable and also protecting my feelings in the same breath. But the only way for me to see it is to fall in love again. It doesn't even make sense, though. That's the sad part.
Yeah.
What's the...
Doesn't make any sense.
Should I try to pick this apart? There's a lot of issues in terms of
No,
what
don't pick it apart.
saying.
Let it stand. It's art. What it is art. Art doesn't need to be explained.
I just love, what's it? When he says the only way for me to see it. What's it?
You know what Sam is? Sam would be, if you could date Sam, would be the closest thing to dating a cyborg you can get to. An actual, it's like you're dating a robot.
Yeah. It's like those people who date their blow-up dolls.
Yeah. He's a sex doll. He's a sex doll. Oh my God. Don't ask so much of your sex doll.
No.
If you know what this is like 2085.
Yes.
This is a future movie.
Yes.
And Sam, they're like, Sam's on The Bachelor, but in the future, you don't know who's a sex doll. It's like
Westworld.
Blade Runner or Westworld. Yeah.
Okay.
Any of those movies where the robots look exactly like humans, which I have a beef with, by the way.
Yeah, you have a lot of
I don't
issues
care
with that.
what year it is. I don't care if it's the year 50,000.
Yeah.
You're always going to know a robot from a human. There's going to be something. You can't make a perfect human with snot coming out of his nose. It's impossible. But the point is you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, you can't tell. In the future, you can't tell who the robots are, the sex robots. They're all sex robots. Because let's face it, in the end, when we do make robots, the primary objective is for sex robots.
Yeah.
Most people are going to watch
It's sort of like
robots.
how VR got, I feel like quickly VR is becoming.
Do you know that porn
sexier.
has driven every technological advancement in entertainment?
There you
Everything.
go.
The VHS, the VHR, the CD, everything.
Yeah.
The streaming video. I mean, you could check that. You think I'm kidding. Anyway, the point is in the future, 2085, Jesse's going to be dead. I guess his kid, maybe his grandchild is going to be hosting.
Yeah.
He's going to come in and you're going to see all these men. You don't know who's a sex doll, but Sam is a sex doll. And when you ask this of Sam, when you ask Sam to tell you all these things about adjectives and stuff, he's like, I'm a sex doll. My function is to have sex with you very well.
Yes.
You're going to have it. Amazing
Yeah,
sex. And you're going to have it any way you want.
Yeah, tell me.
Aggressively, unaggressively, probably aggressively.
Yeah, but tell me, it's a setting. It's a setting you make.
There's no setting here. You know how complicated a robot I am? I know how to have perfect human sex with you. Don't ask me to give you adjectives.
Yeah.
Don't ask me
That's
to tell
when he
you
starts
feelings.
glitching. He's glitching.
Yeah, don't ask this much of the sex robot.
Okay.
It's not fair.
Okay. Jenn asks, what is love to you? And he basically says she'll see it when she sees him interact with his friends and family.
Oh, really?
And she says he's saying the right things, but it doesn't feel authentic. I mean, even that's generous, saying that he's saying the right things. Yeah. And he says, or rather he admits, that putting his feelings into words is not his strong suit. There are no words he can say. And she's like, okay, but what do you see in me? And this is great. He says, I could go on about your passion for love, your desire for wanting a family, all these things that resonate with me. Oh my God, this gets me. But the fact of the matter is there are other people out there with the same characteristics as you. I've had those people in front of me.
All right. Well, he said it.
He's doing that thing again where he's like, I thought the Bachelorette was going to be Daisy or Maria. He's like, he's trying to make her feel special, but without any specificity. So all it does is make her feel like, she says later on, she's like, I feel like I could be anyone.
He thinks somehow by negging her, by telling the actual truth.
I don't even think he realizes he's
What is he doing? What the hell is going on with him?
He says that when he stepped out of the limo, her energy soothed his nerves.
His nerves.
Yeah,
well, I'm glad she's soothing him.
And he says, after the whole stripping thing, you're like pouring me into my emotional part.
Can we make a merch? We're going to do Dear Shandy merch with that. Can we put that on the t-shirt?
Merch is really coming very soon. I
very
swear.
Soon.
I swear.
And
in the next month.
Let me tell you something. It's good. This is Sharleen is obsessive.
I'm too obsessive.
Can you say the quote again?
after the whole stripping thing, you're like pouring me into my emotional part.
T-shirt. Let's do it. Or is it a mug? Maybe a mug.
And she says, well, what did you learn about me that night? And he says, I learned you yearn for a love that's so powerful, that's endless. Notice how it's never about her. I learned you yearn for something. What did you learn about her? It's not the same thing. He doesn't understand any assignment here. And she says, okay, what else? And he says, you have no idea how much I appreciate you. Now I see it. I love you. It's never about her.
You know what I realize Sam is? Sam is the unbelievably hot girl who doesn't really need to ever do anything to get guys.
Yeah.
Except the difference is
here he has
women press you on emotional support, whereas men sometimes don't.
Yes.
So he can get away with it up until
he's on a show like
where
this.
He's on a show like this.
Yes, because in real life, he would just break up with the girl. I honestly think.
Yeah.
I think here
I don't want to deal with this. I'll get the next one.
This is very unique for him because he's not normally in a position of weakness with the woman in the position of power.
Never.
Yeah, never. You can tell.
He's the hot girl.
Yes.
Except he's a guy.
Yeah.
So he has it so easy.
Uh-huh.
But not now.
Not now.
He's not trained for this.
No.
It's like asking like a mongoose to cook dinner for you. Well, you've ever seen a mongoose fight a cobra?
Oh.
Unbelievable. Mongoose, most vicious animal.
Oh, yeah.
But not necessarily most vicious, most brave.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, there's something to be said for that.
Is that really a response?
He throws out a couple more movie quotes like, I'm a firm believer you don't get to pick who you love, which, by the way, sounds like an insult in this setting.
Yeah.
He sounds like a victim. He's like, I didn't get to choose you. What can I say? I didn't love it. It happened to me.
He's insulted her like 7 or 8 times
Yes. He says, you saw the... this is really funny. Which you could tell she's leading towards ending things where she's about to go for a walk.
Yeah.
And he's like, you saw the best in me whenever I couldn't even see it. Like, what does that have to do with anything?
And it doesn't even mean anything.
And it's still about him. Always. Yeah. Okay. So Jenn takes a minute. She comes back. She says she wants it to be real. I love how she calls him out for never asking how she was feeling.
Yeah.
And as she says he's not able to say what he loves or even likes about her, he says, as I said, this whole journey for me, ... And she says, for you again.
You.
I was
good for her. Oh, she's putting him against the wall.
She was flawless.
Holding him to it.
Flawless. And she also, I feel like she could have ended this sooner.
Yeah.
And maybe this was a producer called to like milk this as much as they did, but it was so magnificent to watch her. And even she said later on, she's like a couple months ago, I might not have been able to do this. Like knowing that he was her kryptonite, like you said.
And you know what I think? I think there came a point, there was a turning point, and it was somewhere in this room where she turned from like, I want this to be over to I want to watch him squirm.
Yes.
Because now I'm realizing this is my enemy.
Yes.
This has been my enemy my whole dating life.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hurt this person now. And I respect that.
Totally.
She did it classy, but she hurt him. There was a point where he was on the ground. It was in the movie. He's on the ground. The guy's got the sword over him. And instead of just stabbing him, he slowly twists.
When she's finally about to send him home, he goes, everything I said about you, you didn't even hear.
Unbelievable.
I gotta say, that's a very...
He said nothing about her.
Yeah, that's also a very narcissistic thing to do. Yeah. It's like, turn it on you. You weren't even listening to me.
Well, the whole Sam thing is like, he's not even good at gaslighting.
No.
His gaslighting is sloppy.
Yeah.
But he is basically kind of gaslighting. He's like, what? How can you not hear me? I'm saying all these amazing things.
Yeah. And she says, I heard them. I just didn't think there was any weight to them.
Amazing.
I love her. She is one of my all-time favorite bachelorettes ever.
Right?
I mean, this was Hannah Brown with what's his name level. I know you don't know who I'm talking about, but there was a scene.
I mean, I know Hannah Brown. I just don't know there's season.
There was a scene. You know what? I love that I can't remember his name, but there was a scene where she put him in his place, and after having kind of a weak spot for him and really giving him a lot of chances, and it was similar and just like, oh, you just love her. You want to hug her. You want to celebrate her. That's how I felt about Jenn here. She says this reminds her of a relationship from her past that she's leaving in her past. She's closed that chapter. She is done. She sends him home. And Sam, in his departure in his ITM, says, the energy that she brought was dull.
What? What?
Like, what does that
There's
even
an
mean?
adjective.
Yeah.
Dull.
Yeah.
There it is. Dull.
Dull. Okay.
Dull and ferocious.
And that's that. I mean, this was very satisfying.
Yeah. And again, going back to this show as sort of a format for therapy or for kind of ruining somebody. It does sometimes both.
Yes.
But I think that
it was therapy for Jenn.
Jenn saw this as therapy. And sometimes this show is like where you have someone you're dating and you're going through all these weird problems with them and you're like, what's going on? And then you approach your friends with the problem. And while you're talking to your friends about it, you suddenly realize you're feeling embarrassed because it's so obvious that this is a disaster.
That's what's happened with when we do our private sessions. That happens a lot.
Yes.
Yes.
So with the audience, she has, instead of sort of being in herself and just sticking with her own issues that she's had in her past, she sees the audience, she sees the crowd, and she sees how this whole thing is playing out from the outside.
Yes.
And she's learned from it. It's been therapy for her. This Sam thing is therapy in motion.
We've watched the therapy happen. And what's so cool is it feels like, you're right. I think it's like I think it's also good for him to have the power taken away from him and him kind of groveling. It's like he doesn't know how to deal with that. In her case, because she struggled with worthiness, even that first episode, she was sort of in tears over feeling like, oh, I am the Bachelorette. Like I am worthy. Yeah. But even then you could tell that she was telling herself that, but not quite believing it yet. I feel like we're watching her realize that she is worthy of it. She needed to be given this position, this role, this power to realize how well the glove fits.
100%. You know what I've seen from Jenn? Jenn is a quick learner.
Oh, she's smart.
And I've seen literally how often do you see someone from, what is this? The whole show is like 6 weeks, 7 weeks?
I think it's going to be 9 episodes now or so. But yeah,
but
now
in real time.
Yeah.
You're watching in real time someone learn from going from really kind of oblivious to something to a master of it in 8 weeks.
Yeah.
If I had a position open for someone, I would hire Jenn.
Oh, Jenn I think she's brilliant. She's so smart. She's so smart and intuitive. And she says later on, she prides herself on her intuitiveness. I can see why. This is her talent.
Yeah.
She is an adaptable, quick learner.
Yeah.
It was so satisfying to watch this.
It was.
She's just great. Okay. Big fans. So now it's our rose ceremony. We predicted Spencer and Jonathan would be going home, but we were wrong because Jonathan gets that rose. So going home are Spencer and Grant.
Oh, Grant. Wow.
I think we might have been a bit blinded by our love for Grant.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I am okay with that. I like being blinded by my affection for a contestant.
And I think we're right. I think Grant, there's nothing to not like about Grant.
Yeah. And in his ITM, he says, I did not think that was going to happen tonight.
I felt bad for him.
Yeah.
I felt sad. Like I really felt like he was broken up over this.
Yeah. Yeah, he really fell for her. I really bought his feelings.
There just wasn't chemistry, I guess. But honestly, Grant, first of all, I am not worried about Grant.
No, not worried at all. Yeah.
I'm worried about the hearts he might break, but I'm not worried about Grant.
Yeah. And Spencer and his ITM, I thought this was an interesting call. On his way out, they let him call his mother in tears. And I thought this was so cute, but they gave him weird clown music.
Yeah.
This made me a little bummed. I was like, Spencer was so great all season. Like, why paint him in this way?
Yeah. That was kind of like a really sweet, touching, and vulnerable. Like, it took a lot like that. That's not easy for a guy to call his mother and for her to be calling him baby and saying, oh, I'm so sorry. That's
I thought it was sweet.
Very exposed moment.
Yeah.
I thought the clown music was unnecessary.
Yeah, same. Okay, Andy, that brings us to your A game. Who is your winner?
Easy.
Yeah.
Jenn.
Yeah. As it should be.
100%.
No explanation.
And I have an F game too.
Oh.
That's only going to be brought out once a season.
I wonder who that goes to. Okay, so fashion now. I'm not going to talk about every outfit because I'm going to be honest, a lot of the outfits were very similar. And by similar, I mean some sort of ribbed, knit, button down, long sleeve, mini thing with some sort of jacket on it and a knee-high boot with her hair down. We saw this many times. Sometimes it was a cardigan and skirt. Sometimes it was a mini dress. There was a suede jacket. There was a leather jacket. So variations on a theme.
Oh, I just realized it's bootish. Yeah.
Anyway, I thought that these looks were fine. I get that people in Seattle don't dress up that much. I always feel overdressed in Seattle.
They're proud of it.
Yeah,
it's a pride
they always
thing.
have a forest to get to.
Yeah, they.
A hike to do. So
that really does wrap up Seattle very well.
Yes.
They always have a forest to get to.
Yes,
that sums it up.
So I'm not really going to talk about those looks. I think they were fine. Of course, I could say some of them needed a ponytail, some of them this, that, but they were, none of them were super memorable. So I'm going to talk more about her evening looks. So in the evening of her one-on-one date with Marcus, she was wearing a very princessy, Barbie-ish one-shoulder pink tulle gown. I get that this was part of the Wicked theme, so I think that this was kind of a themed dress, especially paired with a dark green fur trim shawl, another fur trim shawl. A lot of those. I mean, these didn't go together. It felt a little costumey, and I think because of the Wicked thing. So I'm not going to criticize it too much, but her hair being down, I was like,
Yeah, I even noticed
it caused me physical pain. Okay, in the evening of the group date, she wore a white knit gown that from the knee down had a pleated detail, so pleated hem. I really liked this dress. I wish I'd seen more of it, honestly, but little things like it was safety, the straps were safety pinned shorter in the back. And I was like, where was the tailor? There's a lot of things about the wardrobe this season that feel sort of haphazardly thrown together. Yeah. And it felt like she was sort of like abandoned at some point. The fact that she had her straps safety pinned in the back, like, was this not fitted? That's basic. The strap. It's one thing if a dress like doesn't fit as well as it did in your fitting, but like the straps, she's not changing height. Her height is the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think the franchise has to hire you.
Okay, in the evening of her one-on-one date with Jeremy, she's wearing a black sequin strapless ankle-length dress with a sort of sequined rosette detail in the middle. This was by far my favorite look of the episode. She had a ponytail.
Ooh.
And with these sort of tousled bang pieces, and it was just a glorious ponytail. I mean, she looked so stunning in this. She looks gorgeous with her hair up. It went with the outfit. It drove home the look. It was amazing.
It was a look.
A look. And now the rose ceremony. She's wearing a yellow floral beaded gown with a choker. Her hair was down. I did not like this. I, in fact, actively disliked this. I'm sorry to say.
You know what? I'm gonna go out there and say something.
What?
Not a fan of chokers.
You don't like chokers?
Don't like them.
Really?
They were a big thing, I remember, back in the day.
Yeah, and chokers came back fairly recently.
I don't know. I'm not sure I have a thing about any clothing that has absolutely no function.
Yeah.
I also am not a huge fan of ties. Although ties do technically have a function, but it's antiquated.
What?
They used to tie a shirt together so it stayed together.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. But that was a long time
Do you actually
ago.
know this?
Yeah, that was before buttons were invented. Some guy thought, I can make buttons. But they're like, should we get rid of these ties? Like, no, I got a tie business. I got to make money. What, are you going to bankrupt my tie business? So they kept ties.
Money. Okay.
Yeah, it was a money thing.
So chokers,
the tie lobby came in and said, listen, buttons and ties, we have to form an agreement here. We're going to both exist. And they agreed.
I like
a beautiful
tie.
Moment.
A tie can really...
A tie is great. I actually like ties.
Yeah.
But chokers... Not a fan.
Okay, so
could take them. I can take them or leave.
So you feel it's distracting?
Yeah, I feel it's anything that's like effort that has nothing behind it. It's kind of silly.
Yeah,
I'm not a huge fan.
I'm going to tell you something right now. Had her hair been up with this look, you would have liked that choker.
I think you're right.
If she had a big, like, kind of updo, maybe like big bun on the top of her head with like wispy pieces and that choker, it would have like all worked together in tandem to create a look.
I take your word for it.
And instead her hair was down and this dress wore her. She didn't wear this dress. It was too much going on. It's amazing how here's the thing is I'm sure the gown is couture. I'm sure it was hand beaded. I'm sure all the things, but there's such a thing as more is less. And I feel like the more that was added to this dress, the less elegant it became. And eventually it started to look cheap. It started to look a little like prom-y and not in a good way. No. So I wasn't into this dress. And the choker just felt like trying to polish a turd. I actually like a choker with the right look. I think it can really work. It didn't work here.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, but I loved that black sequin number, so don't come at me. Okay, Andy, moving on to our word watch.
Only 36 guesses.
Yes, for
this
zero.
was a big surprise.
No Jen and I's.
Yeah.
Not in that they said Jen and I.
Yeah.
But Jen and I's, the possessive, didn't exist.
Didn't exist.
Yeah, as it shouldn't.
I was a little disappointed.
Well, you said this, Andy. You said it's a testament to Jen that the further we get on in the season, the more articulate the men are.
Yeah, seems to be.
Yes. So our winner is Marika Jansen. Congratulations.
Marika Jansen.
Congratulations. You are the winner of such a great prize, $200 to fastgrowingtrees.com.
It's a good prize.
I love that.
Use it well. I recommend the cherry tree if you have room.
Yeah. And if you have some extra, use it on that hose that Andy loves so much.
Yeah, I love hose.
It's stretchy. It's a stretchy hose. It's so cool.
It's the best.
It's changed his watering game, honestly. So, Marika, please email us by this Friday at midnight to claim your fantastic prize. And Andy, what is the word or words for next week?
The words for next week are my wife.
So my and wife together.
Correct.
Okay.
Has to be my wife.
Okay. All right. Very good. So if you would like to join in the Shandy Word Watch fun and have a chance to win a particularly this week's prize.
Strong prize.
This is normally a finale prize.
Yeah, but this is just we just throw it in the middle of the season now.
This is where it landed, and so someone is going to get real lucky.
Yeah, this is like
week.
Oprah level. We're just giving away cars now.
Yeah. So you have a chance to win a very good prize. You must guess correctly the number of times my wife is uttered in episode 7. So hometown week. And if you guess correctly, you will be entered in a draw. One name will be plucked and this person will win. Oh, first, let me go over the rules. Build the suspense a bit. You must guess by commenting either below this YouTube video or over on the Instagram post for this recap. You must use the numeral of the number of times. So don't say 0. You must put a 0.
Mm-hmm.
And you must be subscribed on YouTube. We will check. Don't miss out. And you'll never know. You could have won and then we check and then you weren't. And then it's like, you don't get it. That sucks. Yeah. And you must be following us on Instagram. Also important. We also check. And if you guess correct, you must do so by Friday at midnight. If you guess correctly, you will win
a Lomi.
Yay. Our electric. This is our countertop electric composter valued at $500. Such a killer prize. We love our Lomi. This is a sick prize. Basically, you put in all your food scraps, the parts that your leftovers or the parts of whatever you're making that you don't eat. So let's say the middle of a pepper, the core of an apple. And with the push of a button, it turns all of that food waste into soil that you can then sprinkle on your plants, and it reduces it down to like nothing. So when you take the garbage out, it's a fraction of the size, it's less stinky, it's less wet, and you're just, doing a little bit of good. Yeah. It's awesome.
And it's fun.
It is fun. We love pressing that big button.
Yeah, it's one big button.
Yes. Thank you, Lomi, for sponsoring this giveaway. It's the 3rd time Lomi has sponsored a Word Watch giveaway.
Tres Lomes.
Very generous. And we should also mention that this giveaway is only open to residents of the US or Canada. I'm sorry for the other people out there. It's, it's a device. It's a big device. It needs to be shipped. Yes.
Yeah, it's got to be shipped.
And for anyone who's interested, we have a promo code in the description and also on the screen right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Andy, moving on finally to our predictions. So first, 1, 2, 3, Devin.
I'm in. Come on. Were we in? Was that in question?
Not for me. 2nd place. Oh my God, it's getting intense. Okay. 1, 2, 3, Marcus. Okay, yeah.
Okay, I made a game. You were thinking about that.
I almost put someone else there.
Yeah, I know.
Just because I'm not sure Jen would bring Marcus to final 2 to send him home, given his personal issues around abandonment.
I respect that theory, but I'm still thinking she's taking him there.
Okay. More research needs to be done there. I feel like his hometown will be major in figuring that out. Okay, and so who do we think is getting 3rd next week? 1, 2, 3, Jeremy. We're on the same page today, Andy.
This whole season.
Meaning we both think Jonathan is going home.
Yeah.
To be honest, I didn't think Jonathan would be making it to Final Four. Jonathan is absolutely lovely. He's a star.
Sure. I just don't think they have a huge connection. I think it's a chemistry thing.
Yeah. We said last week that we don't feel that he's that into her.
He's just
I think
a great
he really
guy.
respects
He's a good-looking guy. He's a nice guy. He's a gentleman. He's
also
got all the things except the chemistry I think is missing.
I think Jonathan is quite intellectual. He's
smart.
Very bright.
Absolutely.
I think they actually share an intellectual connection more so than an emotional or physical connection.
I agree.
Personally. Okay, this is a wrap, Andy. This recap's long enough. If you enjoyed what you heard today, you know what we will ask of you, and that is to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow us on Instagram and
TikTok.
Leave us Apple and
Spotify.
Podcast ratings and reviews. Tell your friends. And generally do all the things you do to support.
I think they've been telling their friends.
Yeah?
I really do.
I hope so.
Yeah. Have you?
And generally do all the things you do to support a podcast you enjoy. Ruby. I'm gonna make my lap very inviting. Ruby, pick mommy. Oh. Okay, but you have to jump. Pick mommy. Oh.
High five. High five.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She was angling for that.
Yes.
That's good. You were due for one.
And generally do all the things you do to support a podcast you enjoy. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Dear Shandy. Bye-bye.